Are you recording? Okay, good morning, citizens. I'm Tasnim, and this is Lenny, here to report the latest news of the motherland at the end of the decade.
Today we have collected data on 4 different areas of the Soviet Union at the end of World War I. The first is the economy. World War I basically swelled the existing economic problems. People worked for long hours with little pay, and peasants who were sent to war couldn't farm their crops. This caused starvation. Our country is also facing inflation.
The second area is geography. The Soviet economy was collapsing from the war effort. The number of casualties and food shortages were adding up too quickly. A peace treaty was signed by the Soviet government to give up land to the Central Powers. This let the Soviet Union exit the war. At the end of the war, the Treaty of Versailles excluded Russia because the Allies were scared of communism spreading by giving out land. The Union was also not invited to join the League of Nations.
The third is the government. The leader of the provisional government, Khrushchev, wanted to keep fighting the war even though the Soviets were doing poorly. The Bolshevik Party then fought against the provisional government and won, caused a major revolution in 1917. It created the communist government and changed Russia into the USSR. The old Tsar was executed and Lenin was elected.
The final area is psychological. Because of the Tsar trying to fight a losing war, the Soviets suffered many casualties. After the Bolsheviks seized power in 1917, Russians felt very patriotic as the new Soviet Union was in place. Soviets had a general foreign policy of developing an equal and friendly relationship with other liberated third world countries and a peaceful coexistence with the capitalist countries such as the United States.
Now let's talk about the major events of the 1930s decade. The GULC was created in 1930 to handle prisoners in labor camps.
In 1931, the Soviet government requested a percent of agricultural production from several countries because of food shortages.
The Moscow-Volga Canal was started and the GULC prisoners are forced into labor in 1932.
Stalin's forced collectivization starves millions of people in Ukraine. It was called Holodomor and occurred in 1933.
The USSR was admitted to the League of Nations in 1934.
94% of agricultural land in the USSR was collectivized, while famine was killing millions of people during 1935.
The Great Purges began in 1936. Stalin was paranoid and wanted to be an autocrat, so he caused many people to be arrested and executed. It was a campaign of political repression and persecution.
In 1937, Leon Trotsky called for the overthrow of Soviet leader Joseph Stalin.
And finally, in 1939, the USSR was expelled from the League of Nations for invading Finland and occupying eastern Poland.
Despite the turmoil of the mid to late 1930s, the Soviet Union developed a powerful industrial economy because of collectivization. The state would take ownership of all the farms and manage them as one farm. This increased production in many states. The USSR also had a vast army because of their population.
The new government based on communism also allows for government rationing so everyone gets what they need, combined with strong and direct leadership from Stalin. The Soviet Union is preparing for anything.
This has been another news report on Radio Moscow. I'm Tasnim.
I'm Lenny.
Have a nice day.